All right, welcome. In the world of email marketing, you've got a handful of giants that pretty much run the show. But what happens when a smaller company comes along and challenges them, not just on price or features, but on the whole idea of how email should work? Today, we're going to break down the case of one of these challengers, using only what they've said publicly. Let's dive in and see what their argument is all about.
This right here, this is the question they put at the center of everything. And it frames their entire argument. They're saying, look, this isn't just about sending emails. It's about who actually holds the keys to your audience, which is probably your most valuable business asset.
So here's our game plan for breaking this down. First, we'll look at the big, established players they're going up against. Then we'll dig into their main argument about control, see how they stack up on price, check out the tools they're offering, talk about their unique approach to support, and then we'll wrap it all up with the big choice they're asking you to make.
Okay, so before we can really get into the challenger's argument, we've got to understand who they're challenging. We need to set the stage.
So the challenger we're looking at, a company called No Limit Emails, is constantly squaring off against what they call the old guard. You know the names: HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact. These are the platforms that have really defined what email marketing looks like for years.
Now, let's get to the heart of it. This is where it gets really interesting. They say the biggest difference between them and everyone else isn't some fancy feature. It's a totally different philosophy about who's in control.
See, most of the big email providers use what's called a shared hosting model. The best analogy I've heard is to think of it like a giant apartment building. Sure, you've got your own apartment, but everybody in the building is sharing the same plumbing, the same foundation, even the same street address.
And this slide really spells out the difference they're trying to highlight. On one side, you're basically renting an apartment on their platform. On the other, they claim you're building an asset on your own land. You own the house. You own the property. It's all yours.
And if you want to boil it all down, this quote from them just nails it. Is someone handing you the keys to your own house, or are they keeping the keys and just letting you in and out when they decide to? That's the core of their argument.
Okay, so that's the philosophy, right? Control versus renting. But how does that actually affect your wallet? Let's get down to brass tacks and look at the numbers they present on price.
I mean, if you're trying to grow your business and scale up, this is a huge question. And the challenger makes sure to put this front and center.
And according to the data they share, the price differences are, well, they're not small. They're huge. They're claiming that for about the same size audience, you might be paying close to $500, maybe even $1,200 a month with other guys, compared to their price of $67. And when you see it as a bar chart like this, wow, it just hits you. The difference they're claiming is massive, and this visual is a really powerful part of their argument, especially for businesses that are looking to scale up. But you know, it's not just about being cheap. They argue it's about being powerful too. They love to throw out numbers like this: 1.6 million emails sent from a single account in just 1 month. Their whole point is that their model can handle massive volume, but at a tiny fraction of the cost. So you're probably asking, how do they even do that? How do they get those prices and that kind of performance? Well, they say it all comes down to a fundamentally different set of tools and technical features. So these are the core pieces of their tech argument. First, everything's built on your domain, not theirs. They say you get your own dedicated IP addresses included, an email verifier built right in, and this one's a big one: the freedom to upload your own lists without jumping through a ton of hoops, which they say is a huge headache on other platforms. So why is having your own dedicated IP such a big deal to them? Well, they paint this picture of collateral damage. Imagine you're in that apartment building, right? If your neighbor throws a wild party and gets the cops called, the whole building gets a bad reputation. They say it's the same with email. If someone else on your shared IP sends spam, your emails can stop getting delivered, and it's not even your fault. All right, let's switch gears and talk about something else that's super important, especially when things go wrong: customer support. And here again, they claim to have a totally different way of doing things. On one side, you have the standard stuff, right? Support tickets, help articles, maybe a chatbot if you're lucky. But what they claim to offer is different. 24/7 live video rooms where you can just pop in, direct access to the actual founders, and a whole community of users helping each other out. They argue that this kind of instant human help isn't just a nice little perk, it's a massive competitive advantage. Okay, so we've looked at control, we've looked at price, tools, support. After all of that, what does this all really boil down to? What's the fundamental choice they're asking people to make?
And at the end of the day, it really is a strategic trade-off. The big players offer these beautiful, polished, all-in-one ecosystems. They're trusted, they're familiar, but the challengers offering something else, the raw power, the lower cost, and yeah, the responsibility that comes with having total control over your own system. And that brings us right back to that very first question we started with. Their whole argument is designed to make you stop and think. What's more valuable for you and for your business? Is it the safety and polish of a big, established ecosystem? Or is it the freedom and power that comes with total control? They say the choice is yours.